Hi, this is Paul Blackmore at CKBG 107.3 FM at BlueGarageClassicMix.com. Wishing Rob McConnell and all listeners and viewers of the worldwide XO Nation a very Merry Christmas and a healthy, happy, and safe New Year.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And good evening, one and all, and welcome back to the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next hour, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world and into the great beyond on classic1220.ca. My guest this hour, XO Nation, is a young lady that I've had the pleasure of talking to a number of times. Her name is Lauren Korngold, and she is in Miami, Florida. And Karen, welcome back. Welcome back to the X Zone.
Well, thank you once again for having me. It's my pleasure.
Lauren, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was born in Miami, and to the point, I am a psychic medium. I started seeing spirits when I was about 7, 6, maybe before, I don't remember. And I've been seeing them and hearing them ever since.
Okay, let's go back to the very first time that you can remember using your psychic abilities. When did that happen?
Well, the first time I remember, I was very sick. I used to get what they used to call the croup. And my mother used to put me in a bed with these wet sheets over me.
Right.
And I was very sick. I was coughing. I was probably about 6 or 7. And all of a sudden, I saw these shadows outside of the sheet walking around me. And then all of a sudden, this woman appeared in front of my feet. And she had all this wonderful light coming from her. It didn't look like radiating light. It sort of looked like the photosphere of the sun with these big pixels of light go up and down. And she looked at me, and I could tell that she was not like me, solid. But she was smiling, and she said to me, "Honey, don't worry. You're going to be just fine." And then she was gone. And so were the others. I never knew who the others were behind the seat. But those shadow people, or whatever you want to call them, they were also gone. And I just, it felt strange, but yet so natural. Like, I don't know, like she was supposed to be there.
What type of psychic abilities do you possess, Lauren? And how do you manifest them? How do you get them to kick in?
Well, I see and hear spirits. I don't really do anything to manifest them. I kind of just walk into a room and I either see something or I hear something. Although I do meditate, and when after a meditation period of about 20 minutes, I feel more acute. I feel more aware, and sometimes the voices are more pronounced and I can see them. That's when I grab my camera and take their pic or take an audio so that people don't think I'm schizophrenic.
So what type of different methods or tools do you use when doing your psychic readings? Do you use tarot cards, crystals? Do you use astrology? How do you do it?
No, no. I do have tarot cards, and a friend of mine suggested that I learn the tarot,
Hmm.
and I'm terrible at it.
Oh, come.
I had to write on the cards what the death card, for instance, means change, and
Hmm.
the sun. What does this mean? So when you have to do that, that's not really your forte, and just wasn't working out. So I gave that up, and I wasn't really getting anything from it. So I don't really use crystals or anything. The most I do is I do like some candles for meditation, and I do something called scrying. I take pictures through clear glass for refraction or on mirror for reflection, and I do see spirit pics. I take their pics and I put it, on my webpage and let other people see them. So when I explain to them that it works, they can actually see the empirical evidence that it does work.
Lauren, what's your personal philosophy or your belief system regarding psychic readings and the spiritual realm in general?
Well, the spirit world is real. When you die, I don't know how it happens,
Hmm.
but when you die, you do transcend to another level. How it happens, I don't know. I have asked the spirits, how does it happen? How does it you just come out of your body? How does it work? And I was told it's not for me to know. Okay, I accept that. Um, I don't really get any psychic readings done to me because I have in the past, and they're usually very incorrect. I always I see that you're looking for psychic development. I'm like, really, I see that you want answers because you don't know how to
Hmm.
find them. I'm like, really? So, um, so I guess you're getting your wires crossed with somebody else. I don't tell them I'm a psychic. So, you know, can I, the usual scamming kind of thing. So I just don't get any readings, and I don't give any readings or anything like that.
So if you don't give readings, how do you use your psychic gift?
Well, people do call me up and they say, I think, there's a spirit in my house. And they usually want to tell me who they think it is, and I usually
Hmm.
tell them not to because I like to walk into a building or a dwelling and do a cold reading.
Okay.
I don't want any information. I want to talk to the spirit
Hmm.
myself and find out what they say, who they are. And a lot of times people, I hope it's my grandmother, I hope it's my dog, that sort of thing. And that may influence me by, you know, by leading the spirit on. Oh, your Aunt Minnie, right? Maybe not. So I just like to walk in and usually just have my cell phone. I do have cameras, but I just usually walk in with my cell phone and I turn it on record. If I feel something, and obviously if I see something, I just start taking pics and ask them to tell me who they are
Hmm.
and why they're here. Are they attached to the place? Are they attached to the people? And I've gotten all kinds of people that died from cancers, suicides, motorcycle accidents, you name it.
So you're not like the typical psychic who has a telephone number that they give out or they do
No,
readings on Skype, Zoom, or any other
no.
modalities. You actually go to the place and do your psychic job there.
Yes, and I'm not in it for the money because I don't get paid. I've never, ever, ever taken a dime for what I do.
Wow.
I feel never. I feel like I am put here to help people,
Hmm.
and I don't have a problem with getting paid for that. I mean, if you're a cop or a firefighter, you're helping people and you should be paid.
Right.
Um, but for me, it doesn't feel right. It feels more businessy. And I think that would kind of play with my abilities. And I don't feel that the spirit world particularly wants me to get paid. I mean, I've done well enough without having to be paid, and it's just kind of an interference. So no, I don't do I don't do readings, or I don't tell people I see your aura, give me $20. So no, I don't.
All right, so you go into a house and you use your psychic abilities to establish whether or not there is, in fact, a spirit or something that is causing paranormal activity in the home. You discover that, you're 100% sure that's what it is. What do you do next?
Well, it depends on what the people want.
I see.
A lot of times they say, "Oh, it's my grandmother." I'll take a pic of a spirit and I'll show it to the people, and they say, "Oh, that's my grandmother," or "That's my uncle," and they say, "Oh, they're overjoyed that they were there," and then I just don't do anything. I just give them the information, and if they want to post it, they can post it. If they want me to post it to show other people, I do that. I never ask because I don't want them to feel pressured. Most of the time, they don't want me to post it. It's private, and I just leave. Now, if it's somebody or an entity that is malevolent, and I've been told of poltergeist activity, or somebody saying get out or something, then what I do is I go over there and I light some white sage and I talk to the spirit and I try to scare the hell out of it so that it leaves the dwelling, and I'm pretty good at that because they usually go.
How do you scare a spirit when a spirit is dead and they really have nothing to fear?
Well, what I have found is that they have most of them are older spirits, or they have a certain image of female. So they expect me to be frightened, or and what I do is nobody talks boy talk better than me. I have a filthy mouth, and I use the language that would make your hair curl. And that usually scares the crap out of them because they're not expecting that. And and I tell them I'll smudge you out. And for some reason, and I don't know why, the idea of being smudged to a lot of spirits is really quite frightening. And they leave. I've never had anyone call me and say they're back. I've never gotten that.
Wow. So having a potty mouth and being a lady at the same time comes in handy sometimes.
Yes, I hope my grandmother isn't listening.
Yeah. If she is, you'll find out later.
Yes, I guess I will.
Lauren, please stand by. You and I have to take our first break. Exonation. Lauren Korngold is my special guest. And her website is www.getmyspiritstreamnow.com. Getmyspiritstreamnow.com. And Lauren is also with the Paranormal Research Investigative Society of Miami, and we'll both be back on the other side of this break as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220, and streaming around the world and into the great beyond on classic1220.ca. Don't go away. We'll be back on the other side of this very, very short break. And welcome back, everyone. If you're listening to us on the radio, then I know for a fact you've got your car radio, your home radio, your office radio tuned to AM. That's right, because that's where you find Classic 1220. And we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, and we're available worldwide, no matter where you are on this great big planet or beyond, at www.classic.ca.com. Classic1220.ca. There you go. Ever have one of those days where you want to say something, the brain says, all right, you turn right, but you end up turning left? Well, that's what just happened with me. Our guest this hour is Lauren Korngold, and she is with the Paranormal Research Investigative Society of Miami, and her website is getmyspiritstreamnow.com. Is Miami a very haunted place?
Yeah, it is. It's not known for it. Here in the States, places like South Carolina or Massachusetts, or, New England, because of the Civil Wars and the Revolutionary War. But Miami actually is a pretty haunted place. We have a lot of old-time mansions and hotels that, like the Biltmore, that have spirits in them. I think it's haunted everywhere on this planet. Wherever there's a piece of land, I think there's some spirits around. But yes, Miami is quite haunted.
Tell us about the Paranormal Research Investigative Society of Miami.
Well, what we do is like ghost hunting, typical ghost hunting group. I formed the group. Ours is a little bit different. I wanted there to be certain rules. For instance, never post anything of a celebrity or somebody, a friend, without telling the family first. We're not in this to make a name for ourselves. And some of my team members, they didn't like that because, they want to, wow, this is cool, let's post it. But also, we always have two people with us, two people together in a room, so that there could never be any, accusation of fraud and manipulation. We go into houses. Sometimes I walk right into the house and I see something. Sometimes I don't. Whether I do or I don't, we treat it as if we see nothing. We put up infrared cameras, full spectrum cameras, recorders, grids, all that kind of stuff. Even if I see something right there, because there's always something that I miss. And we want to record it for the benefit of the people that are, having us come over. And what we do is, unlike a lot of paranormal research groups, we don't generally spend the entire night there. There seems to be some belief that spirits come out more at night. They do not. It's just that it gives us an opportunity to use a lot of cool technology like infrared that you can't use during the day.
Right.
So if you go there at 9 o'clock in the morning and there's a spirit there, it's going to be there at 9 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock at night. So we usually wrap it up within 3 or 4 hours of getting there. There's nothing magical about nighttime.
I was talking to a paranormal investigator, and I asked him, well, why do you guys do this at night? And he said, well, it's very simple, because we work during the day.
Oh, there's that too.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of us have, other jobs or we own businesses. Yes, but some people think, oh, the nighttime, lights out here, they're all going to come out now. Well, if they didn't come out when you were there for the 3 hours when the sun was above the horizon, they're probably not going to come out now.
If they're there, they're there. And if they're not, well, they're not. Where in your experience has been the most haunted location that you and your team have done an investigation at?
My house.
Your house?
Your house. Yes, my house. Yes. My house is loaded with spirits.
And where did all these spirits come from?
Well, I have a friend who is a psychic, and we've been friends for about 30 years, and she said, you have a portal in your house. And I said, no, I don't. I would feel it. She says, well, I don't know what you're feeling, but you have a portal in your house. So I asked the spirits, there's so many of you here. I know it's not a portal, so what is it? And they said, it's a portal. I said, oh, it is. I said, okay, that's what I was told. I'm amazed that I didn't pick up on that. They said, well, maybe you have a little prejudice against it, but there is a portal here, and somebody referred to it like Grand Central Station. Some of them are just passing through, like stragglers, and they have nothing to do with me, and they just are passing on by, and I just happen to see them or take their pic or hear their voices, and they're not interested in me at all. They're just walking on by. Other times, it's angels or guides, or my father. So it depends. But there are a lot of spirits here, and there are a lot of portals. And wherever there's a portal, there's going to be a bunch of spirits, good and bad, passing through.
So where does this portal come from? What is the destination on the other side?
I don't know. All I know is I've been fortunate enough to take pictures of when the portal is opened and there's light coming out. So I guess when they say going into the light, I guess that's really true. Because when there's a burst of light, there seems to be a burst of energy that I feel. And then you could see these spirits, just streaming out. And it's almost like a bus door opening and everybody's coming out. And then they're gone. But I don't know what's on the other side. I just know that the light, and I know the spirits, and they come and go.
Now, the spirits that come and go, are they always positive spirits, or do you get negative spirits, demonic spirits as well?
Yes.
How do you deal with the negative spirits or the demonic spirits?
Potty mouth.
Oh, jeez. Here we go. You must have been a sailor in a previous life.
Right. Except for I have no tattoos, so I don't know. But you're probably right, something like that, because that usually takes care of it. But what I have found is that a lot of the spirits that I haven't had too many negative encounters, but those that I have had, they're not really evil. They're mostly angry. And they're angry because some of them are murder victims. Some of them never got justice. I had one guy tell me, my killer is still walking loose. I said, I'm really sorry about that. But it isn't going to be any good hanging on to resentment. So a lot of times what we perceive as being evil is more like just they're angry.
I can understand that. So do you try and get them to go to the light?
Well, I used to say, go into the light. There's peace and love in the light. And I once had a guy say to me, I know, I live there. I'm just out and about. And he kind of had a negative attitude. He says, I'm not stuck, if that's what you mean. So why do you keep trying to send me to a place that I've been to 100 times?
No, that makes sense.
We're out because we want to be out, not because we're stuck. So I stopped saying, go into the light, find peace and love in the light. They don't always want to be in the light.
What inspired you, Lauren, to pursue a career as a professional paranormal investigator?
Well, I guess I was always, because of my, psychic abilities, I guess you would say, I was always interested in that. And when I was a little girl, my father said to me, look, I don't know too much about it, but I know this. You'd be well advised not to tell too many people. And I did not understand that. And now later on, I did understand it because you didn't want people to think you were a nut. But as I knew that they were real, and I wanted other people to question, is there life beyond this? What is it? What do they look like? Is it intelligent ghosts? Or is it just like energy? So I wanted to answer some of those questions for myself because I didn't know. And I wanted to show other people that it was real and mostly to give comfort. Because I've had people say to me, thank you so much. I'm at peace now because I had a lady from the Philippines who's her big her big brother was murdered, and she wanted to know if he was in the light.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, don't tell me anything about him. I said, all I can tell you is that he's standing in front of me. He's saying to me, cool you, cool you. And she started to cry. And I said, well, what does that mean? She goes, he's saying cool ya, cool ya. That means big brother in the Filipino language. And I said, oh my God. Okay. Well, so it gave her a sense of peace, that to know that he was around, and that her mother had just passed away, and that she was with him.
Would you say that the experiences that you share with the people who you help, just like this Filipino lady, are in some form or fashion very spiritual? And I don't, I mean, you're doing something good. You're let's say somebody who works and walks on the right side of the light. How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel good, because most people feel a sense of relief.
Mm-hmm.
But I understand that this isn't for everyone. I actually, I had a dog sitting service, and one of my clients said to me, look, I know you're a psychic. I know you see and hear things.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, if you ever see anything in my house, don't tell me. I don't want to know. That stuff freaks me out. And I said, okay. And there were things in her house, but I kept my mouth shut. It's not for everybody. Not everybody wants to know. Some people get, the heebie-jeebies about
Sure.
it. So I get it.
We've got about 30 seconds before I have to go for my next break, Lauren. Do people have anything to physically fear from the spirits?
Not really. People have talked about being touched or
Mm-hmm.
pushed. I mean, I've never seen that outside of a movie, but I mean, I've had a light touch
Right.
on my body, but I've never had anybody, throw me across the room. I mean, I won't say it doesn't happen, because I have no empirical evidence to preclude it from happening, but,
Mm-hmm.
I would say I wouldn't worry too much about it.
That's good enough for me. If you say it, it's good enough for me. Lauren, stand by. You and I have to take our second break. And Exonation, Lauren Korngold is our special guest. And we're going to be back on the other side, like I said, of this very short break as we continue here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, from our broadcast studios and corporate offices in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, right here on your hometown radio, Classic 1220. And we're also streaming around the world and beyond on www.classic1220.ca. The strange, the weird, the bizarre is what the X Zone is all about. We'll be back. Don't go away.
Bob Honeycutt of the Georgia Ghost Society at www.georgiaghostsociety.com, wishing Rob McConnell and all listeners and viewers of the worldwide X-Zone Nation a very Merry Christmas and a healthy, happy, and safe New Year.
Sitting home looking out the window, imagining the world as stars.
Welcome back to the X Zone. I'm Rob McConnell. We're coming to you on Classic 1220, www.classic1220.ca. Lauren Korngold is my special guest this hour, and Lauren is in Miami, Florida. Lauren, has there ever been a paranormal investigation that you've walked in and felt so much negativity that you just want to turn around and walk away?
No, not from spirits, but from the people that are living there.
Really?
Yes. I did go against some advice from a friend of mine to a woman who, as soon as I walked into her house, she wanted to preach to me whatever her particular religion was, and the belief system that whatever I find is going to be from the devil. I said, well, then why am I here? I mean, I'm here as an investigator. That's the operative word here. I'm investigating.
Yeah.
If you already have a belief system in place that you won't accept evidence, then I really shouldn't be here. So now I do a much better job about vetting people, because some people are very, very negative, or they have preconceived ideas. I know it's my dead ex-husband. How do you know that? I just know it. Okay, well, can you be a little open-minded? No. Okay. Well, bye. But no, I've never had a spiritual. I've walked into a place where there was a lot of heavy energy, but that's the job. You go in and you find out.
How do you and your team protect yourselves from all this negative energy that you're dealing with during a paranormal investigation, and how do you make sure you don't bring it home with you?
I have brought it home. I have. I've brought negative spirits home, and potty mouth. I've also done. I am what's called a remote medium. In other words, sometimes I'll just stay at home, and a person will call me, and I can, sense what's going on over there from home. And there was one time there was a spirit. His name was Cardell. He was at her house, and then he ended up at my house, trying to terrorize me. And I got rid of him with my mouth. And I actually recorded the session. I do have the recording. And a couple of my angels, my guides, came and said, "Don't worry about him. We'll take care of him." And then about a half hour later, he came back, and I said, "You again? What are you doing here?" He said, Your guides told me I had to come back and apologize, or they were going to stick me in hell." I said, "Oh, well, you probably belong there." So I guess there is some sort of punishment, on the other side.
How do you deal between the potential paranormal activity and natural explanations?
Well, what I try to do is, if there's always fluctuations in energy. You could hear something. It could be the wind, and it sounds like a voice, and it could be either way. So I try to run it through certain programs like WavePad and try to remove some of the things. Sometimes it's iffy, and if it's iffy, then you be honest with the people. Listen, we're not really sure we caught a voice. It may be or it may not be. Some of them are intelligent. Like when my father comes, I record him, and he's always talking to me about investments. So that's not the wind or natural phenomenon. He's talking about real estate. So.
Have you ever encountered skeptics who have actually challenged your findings? And if so, how do you deal with them?
Well, I haven't had people really challenge my findings, but I have had people say, "I see what you're showing me, but my explanation is different." And then they usually start quoting some religious book that it is spiritual in nature, but I'm being led astray by forces of the darkness, that kind of thing. But I've never really had anybody look at it and say it's not there. I've just had people say, you don't understand what you're doing. You think they're really demons in disguise, or, I mean, I get that once in a while, mostly on Facebook.
How about EVPs? How do you explain them? For the listeners out there who have no idea what an EVP is, an EVP is an electronic voice phenomenon where a paranormal investigator will use a digital or analog recording device, ask a question, pause, wait a few moments, and then ask another question. Now, the answers or the replies from the spirits can only be heard when the recording is played back. Now, how do we explain that we can't hear the answer when it's given, but later on there it is on the recording device?
I don't know that. But sometimes I do hear it, and then I ask a teammate or myself. I check back to see if what I heard was at that time what was recorded. But you're right. Very often we don't hear it. First, I've asked spirits. I said, how do you speak at all? You have no vocal cords. How do you even show yourself?
Exactly.
You don't have a body.
Yeah.
And what I was told is that they manipulate energy, and they manipulate light to form either a sound wave or a visual manifestation of themselves. I said, well, then why can't, and I'm a psychic, why can't I hear you all the time? And they said, well, because the energy is in the place that you are, there's often environmental phenomenon that prevents us from, communicating with you, and we are really reflecting ourselves at a very, very low frequency. So that's been my experience. So maybe it's below 100 hertz or whatever it is that we can't hear it. But every once in a while, I'll hear a really good, like just almost a total conversation. So I have to presume that there are environmental factors that enhance it or remove it.
I would imagine that cell phones and Wi-Fi transmissions really screw up the attempt of investigators when it comes to establishing evidence that the paranormal is real.
Well, my cell phones have always been my friend, because that's really all that I use. I just turn it on and I just sit there. And somebody said to me, and it may be true, and I never asked the spirit, I forget to ask. They said, well, did it ever occur to you that maybe they're attracted to you, so that's why you have good luck hearing them? And because I do seem to get a lot of stuff that other paranormal investigators don't get in abundance. So I said, well, that's a good, I never thought of that, but that's a good, maybe I'm a spirit magnet or something. And there's so many of them that somebody's bound to be heard. If you have 100 people in a room, you're going to hear at least 2 people. So I said, yeah, I got to ask about that. That's a good question. Maybe there are certain people that they're attracted to, or certain kinds of spirits. Maybe they go, like a mind meld. They, whatever your wavelength is, they match you there, and not all of them can do that.
Well, I know why your cell phone likes you, because your cell phone has experienced firsthand how your potty mouth affects, spirits and others, other members of the other side, and it doesn't want to be on your bad side. So that's why it's nice to you.
Well, they probably have gotten my name around.
Something that I've been told by many paranormal investigators is that a lot of these spirits don't know they're dead. And you and I were talking about how angry or frustrated they are, and that this is one of the major causes. They don't know why people can't see them. They don't know why people can't hear them. They don't know why why they're being neglected. It's because they don't know they're dead. What's your opinion on that?
I've never had that experience.
No,
I came in, no, not that I remember. I believed that because, you'd see people, you'd hear other paranormal investigators or psychics say they see people walking around in period clothing. So they must think that they're back in the 18th century or, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I have asked them, I've seen people that look like, they're wearing, American Revolutionary clothing or something. And I say, you do realize the American Revolution is over and, we're best buddies with England now. You do know that. And they say, well, of course I know that, at that time. They say, yes, it's 2018. They say, oh, you're aware of the passage of time. Why do you look this way? And they said, because this is who I am, and this was the most exciting time of my life. I've been told that. I have never met anyone who says, well, I'm waiting, I mean, they can see the TV, they can see the electricity, they can, they know something is going on. I've never talked to anybody who said, what do you mean, Abraham Lincoln was just assassinated, 1865 or whatever. I mean, I've never had that experience.
How do you figure that a ghost or a spirit that is energy can wear period clothing when clothing doesn't have any energy?
Well, they're not wearing the clothing.
What are they wearing?
They're like, okay, if you're looking at a spirit and this man or woman manifests their face, and you can see the face, they can manifest what the clothing looked like at the time. It's just, just not part of their skin. They're able to form, like they can form their face or their arms. They can form the clothes. I don't know how they know. I tend to think it's instinctual because I don't think they have a big clothing store on the other side teaching, dressing you up. So I think it's something that you innately do. Because when my mother passed away...
All right, we're going to have to hold you off here because we do have to take our final break, so please stand by. Lauren Korngold is our special guest, Exo Nation, and we're talking about spirits, psychics, paranormal investigations, and much more. And Lauren and I will be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, right here on Classic 1220 and streamed around the world on classic1220.ca.
Every time I look into your loving eyes, I see love that money just can't buy. One look from you, I drift away. I pray that you are here to stay.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the Excellent. I'm Rob McConnell, and you're listening to us on Classic 1220 or online at www.classic1220.ca. Lauren Korngold is our special guest. And Lauren, if somebody listening to us tonight is inspired and motivated by our conversation, and they too want to become a paranormal investigator, what should they do? How would they go about it?
Well, the first thing that they should do is read, keep an open mind. Don't think you know everything. I still know very little in comparison to what I hope to learn. A lot of times, I know in my experience, when I really started investigating, I had a lot of surprises, a lot of old notions I had to put aside, prejudices that I didn't realize I had. So I would tell that person to watch other paranormal investigators, get a mentor, even if it's just online. Read the books, all that. Get as much information as you can so that you do it right, and go slowly. There's no, the spirits aren't going anywhere. You don't have to invest in millions of dollars or hundreds of dollars even to capture spirit energy. So, don't run out and buy, $700 cameras. You don't need that. You need a cell phone. You need a flashlight. You need a digital audio recorder, or even one with a little tape in it, and patience. And that's all you need.
What are some of the misconceptions about paranormal investigation that you'd like to dispel tonight?
Well, first of all, it's the one that we spoke of earlier, that that spirits have a tendency to come out at night.
Right.
That's not true. A lot of my best investigation has been during the day.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that you have to have certain kinds of equipment. You don't have to have certain kinds of equipment. You don't have to have powerful recorders and things like that, because if the cell phone can pick it up, that's really all that you need. And also that the biggest thing that investigators, I think, make a mistake is that they're too impatient. My way is to turn on a recorder. Let the recorder run for 20 seconds at least before you even open your mouth, and then ask one question and shut up, and give them 30 seconds to answer, and then ask another. Investigators spend a lot of time talking instead of listening. Listen, and you will become successful in this.
What are the ethical guidelines or principles that you follow in your paranormal investigations that you'd like to share with the listeners?
Well, first of all, you have to analyze yourself. Why are you in this? Are you in it because you want to seek knowledge and learn and contact the other side, or you want to make a name for yourself, or you want to feel cool? So the ghost, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, always comes first. Secondly, the people that that own the home or the building always come second. In other words, you always have to consider their feelings. Do not ever put anything on the internet. Do not talk about it. It's almost like you're like a confessor. Keep it private, unless the person that you're working with, or the homeowner, or whatever it is, tells you to release it. If you're not in it for you, you're just a conduit between the other side, the spirit world, and those of us that are still living. That's all you are. And remember that you are the least important person in this whole procedure.
Have you ever collaborated with any other paranormal investigation groups, and how does that work?
Not with groups, but I did have a friend who did this herself, and she's from Atlanta, and we used to collaborate together a little bit, and then the pandemic hit, and everything kind of stopped, and we just kind of drifted apart. And I have worked with other paranormal investigators. What I have not done and will not do is work with any psychic, because when I go in as a paranormal investigator, I don't go in as a psychic. I go in as an investigator. Like I said earlier, if I walk into a house and I see a spirit, I will, of course, take out my equipment. But I still put up all the stuff as if I don't see them, because I am an investigator. They didn't call for a psychic. They called for an investigator. So they're kind of, I kind of wear two hats. I don't really, I have an advantage because I'm a psychic, but I don't count on that. I count on the evidence that is caught on the cameras and the recorders.
What about these TV shows that are out there, the different ghost shows? It seems that a lot of things happen in a very short period of time on their shows, and yet there's never anything that is evidence. What's your take on the shows?
It is funny, because you spend more time not getting anything than getting it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, if somebody's there and they want to talk to you, you're probably going to hear from them the first 15 minutes. If they're not going to talk to you in 15 minutes or a half hour, they probably have nothing to say or there's nothing there. Yes, I always wondered, there probably is a lot of times with these shows that they don't get anything. You just don't, they don't air that because, it's boring.
Right.
So they air the stuff where things are a little bit active. But even then you got to take it with a grain of salt because you don't know if they're manipulating it. I would say they're not because I think a lot of them have the same rules that you never leave people alone. There's always two investigators in a room at the same time. And there are some that are more reliable than others. I mean, now on X, or formerly Twitter, it's nothing but ghost hunters. Just somebody picks up a camera and says, "Oh, hey, I'm going to go to 7-Eleven and do a ghost hunting." You can't do that. I mean, you can do it, but I mean, you got to take it with a grain of salt, and you really have to do research and not just be enthusiastic, but really be professional.
A lot of these shows and individual groups and investigators love going to prisons, bars, hospitals where there has been countless reports of paranormal activity, ghosts and spirits. Why would the ghosts and spirits remain in a place that has been turned into a tourism location?
Yeah, it's like when they go to the Lizzie Borden house.
Yeah.
Lizzie Borden may show up if she's attached to the building or she wants to communicate, but it's like graveyards. Graveyards are the most spirit devoid places on Earth. They're just a bunch of bodies there. There really aren't any spirits hanging around unless they come to see you. And I went to a funeral 3 months ago, and I saw 2 or 3 spirits. Now, it was very unusual because I usually don't see anything at those kinds of functions because there's nobody there. Maybe when these people go, when these ghost hunters go to these places, the spirits they're not. I don't think they're trapped, and I don't think they want to be there. But I think they want to be seen. They want someone to maybe acknowledge them. So they go to where they're going. So if I'm motivated to go to an abandoned prison somewhere and I see spirits, it may be because they want to be seen by somebody and they know that we're there to do that, so they'll show up. I don't think they reside there because I think we go back a day later and not find anything.
A lot of investigators also use photographs of orbs as evidence of spirits, that these orbs are actually spirits. What are your thoughts and comments about orbs that are the photographs of orbs that are taken?
They can be spirits. They can also be dust. So what I look for is sometimes I get what I do is I look for if I see an orb.
Yeah.
I've caught some orbs on my Ring camera and other cameras. I look for other phenomenon at the same time. Like I heard my father's voice in the living room, and I didn't feel, I was lazy, I didn't want to get out of bed, so I turned on the speaker and the microphone, and I said, "Who's there?" And it was me, Daddy, it's me. And then when I reviewed everything, I saw a couple of orbs flying by. So then that seems more credible to me. But it could, and I also look, a lot of these orbs that are really spiritual in their quality have a face. I look for that. That's also helpful. Because other than that, they could be spiritual, but you really don't know because it could be a piece of dust flying by.
I asked a paranormal investigator the other night why morgues, or not only morgues, but funeral parlors, are not getting any reports of hauntings or ghost activity. Any ideas why?
Yeah, they're not there.
Yeah.
When I was when I was a young lady,
So we're
and I
talking.
was
So we're talking 3 years ago. Okay.
right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I wasn't sure what field of science I wanted to go in, so I
Right.
went and I decided to do a little stuff in the morgue. Um, I didn't see anybody. I mean, I saw bodies, but I didn't see any spirits. A spirit may be attached to their physical being and be there, or again, they want to be seen, and maybe they know you're psychic for some reason, and they show up. But usually, the attachment to the mortal body is just right after they died, and then they kind of, hover a little bit, and then they go on. So these people had donated their body to science, so they were in the refrigerator for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
There was really no attachment emotionally to the body, so they weren't there for that. Um, so, I didn't see anybody. I did not see any, and I have a friend who actually works in a funeral home, and I said, do you ever feel anything? Do you ever see anything? Any creepy, stuff? She's like, no, nothing.
Wow.
Not there.
Lauren, the time has come when I must say so long to you, my dear friend. First of all, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here tonight on the X Zone, and for sharing your experience and your knowledge with the members of the X Zone Nation who listen to us right here on Classic 1220. So thank you very much. And listen to you and your family and your friends and your team. The very best of the season to you both and all. And I look forward to speaking to you in the new year. Happy New Year.
Okay. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all that stuff. Thank you so much for having
all right,
me.
Lauren, take
God
care
bless.
of yourself. God bless you. And that's it for tonight, X Zone Nation. I'll be back tomorrow night as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. And we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada on Classic 1220 and around the world on classic1220.ca. So until next we meet here in the X Zone, always remember, X Zone Nation, to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. I'm Rob McConnell. Good night, everyone.